In a world that's always racing forward, sometimes we need to slow down and reconnect.
Connect genuinely, broaden your perspective, and share your passion.
Bona Fide dialogues, where authenticity, creativity, and passion merge.
Welcome to Bona Fide Dialogues.
Qi Gong, pronounced Qi Gong, means life energy cultivation. It is a holistic system of coordinated movement, breathing, and meditation used for the well-being of the mind, body, and spirit. Holden, master of the ancient art of Qi Gong and CEO founder at Holden QiGong, is a world-renowned leader who brought this Chinese practice to the modern world. Holden has been featured on 8 successful PBS shows, with another 13 episodes under Your Fountain of Youth with Holden, shot at a variety of scenic locations, including Yosemite, Redwood National Park, and Croatia. Through online and in-person courses, Holden teaches the transformative power of Qi Gong, a science that improves the energy life force of individuals and professional athletes by activating dormant energy through a series of breathing and meditative exercises. Holden has helped over 10,000 students break through barriers to uncover healing from injury or disease, as well as maximizing energy levels and decreasing signs of aging. Having received certification directly from Master Mantak Chia himself, Holden also ghostwrote 12 books, including an international bestseller about transforming stress into vitality. It's no wonder why Qi Gong is one of the most popular exercises worldwide, being practiced daily by 50 million people.
Today we will be talking about Qi Gong and the power of slowness, and about your book, of course, a wonderful book that I listened to twice. It's an amazing book that I highly recommend to everyone. But before we dive into these important subjects, maybe you can give us a quick overview, some definitions of for people who don't even know what Qigong is.
Absolutely. And you're right. People don't know what Qigong is, but they want what Qigong has to offer. You know, if I was going to describe Qigong from a, let's say, Western sense, the benefits of Qigong are less stress and more energy. It's a way to clear the stress in your body, and stress can manifest as pain, tension, tightness, and give us a boost of energy, but it's a calm, relaxed energy and equanimity. So Qi means energy and Gong means work. So it's a technique that was developed 5,000 years ago, maybe longer, by men and women observing nature and moving their bodies like nature in these relaxed, energy efficient type of ways. So Qigong was the root of stretching practices, acupressure, Tai Chi, slow movements, and moving meditations, essentially. It's a beautiful way to cultivate energy and heal the body and rebalance the nervous system and just get us into a state that we like to be in within our mind-body system.
And even prevent some illnesses, right? Eventually, if you're doing it
Absolutely.
for a long time.
You know, Qigong was called the art of preventing disease and prolonging life. So it was medicine. It was part of ancient medicine that had prevention as its foundation. So, for example, Christine, it's really interesting. The way they practice the medicine is the opposite of how we practice medicine today. You paid your healthcare practitioner as long as you were healthy, and as soon as you got sick, you stopped paying. They're like, hey, doctor, you're not doing your job. I don't feel well. Your job is to keep me healthy, preventative medicine. And so the motivation by everybody was to stay healthy. And even when you were healthy, it wasn't like we just stopped. It was a journey rather than a destination. You kept health as a distant goal that you always strive towards. So each and every day you were doing you know, Qigong movements, exercises, breathing techniques, meditation, energy cultivation as a way to keep your body and mind pristine, healthy, and at its highest vibration.
That's exactly what we all need, right?
Yeah,
What's
absolutely,
the
especially
secret
nowadays.
sauce?
It is absolutely what we need. And I think people are seeking it because Western medicine doesn't have all the answers. It has some answers, but it doesn't have all the answers, especially when we're looking for energy, vitality, living on purpose, connecting with each other and nature. It it has a way that it is driven by materialism, and nobody's getting paid unless people are sick or depressed or whatnot. We're taking pills for everything and we're disempowered. So when we can empower ourselves, we heal from the inside out as we're designed, and our minds and bodies connect and our spirits open up, and all of a sudden we're living in a really different place within ourselves, and then life all around us seems very different.
Amazing. How did you discover it?
I was a soccer player in college and I had an injury. So through my pain and suffering, I discovered some really incredible things. The team doctor said I would be out for the season. I was, hobbling around campus, feeling very sorry for myself. I was in pain, and the pain was making me depressed, and I didn't know what to do. And I remembered in my hometown, I was taking martial arts classes as a little kid, and this one martial arts master, he broke a big stack of bricks as a demonstration. And I remembered asking him how he did that. Like, how did you break those bricks?
Yeah.
And he was like, I used chi. And so I was like, huh, what
Hmm.
is what is chi? And he said, chi is for healing, it's not for hurting people. And I
Mm.
was all of a sudden I remembered that guy and I thought, I wonder if he could help me. And I went back and I asked him and he gave me some acupuncture. He showed me qigong exercises and I was better in like 4 or 5 days after 2 or 3 treatments. And I, immediately thought to myself, why aren't more people doing this? How can I learn more? And how can I show people this? So from there, I started studying qigong. So I was, 19 or 20 years old. I was studying psychology at UC Berkeley, but I was also a little dismayed that I had been studying psychology for 2 or 3 years. And at the university, I still didn't have one technique on how to make somebody feel better. Like
Mm.
if somebody came and said, oh, you're studying psychology, I'm feeling a little depressed. What should I do? I would say, I don't have any idea. So I started learning, the psychology of Eastern medicine. How do we work with emotions from a Qigong perspective? And immediately you get wonderful techniques that are very, very effective. And so I was training with a Qigong master who was well known. He kept coming through town every 6 months. And when I graduated college, I asked him if I could have a job. So off I went to Thailand and China and all these beautiful places to train Qigong. And my job was to write books for this Qigong master. So I was
Mm.
helping him to write his books and I was learning right from the source. And I just got such an incredible education in my early 20s. And every time I'd come home from my trips to Asia, I would say, how can I teach this to my friends that are now working in Silicon Valley, my soccer player friends, my athlete friends that were now stressed out from their 9 to 5 jobs. It really wasn't 9 to 5, it was like 9 to 8 p.m. because it was the dot-com boom
Yeah.
and everybody was
Sitting
working really hard.
jobs, right? Where they sit all the time for 8 hours, say 10 hours a day.
Exactly. And here are these young, 25, 26 year olds that are all stressed out and have carpal tunnel and neck tension and feeling fatigue and not sleeping well. And then I was not making any money, but I was feeling great.
Mm.
And I was helping them to transform stress into vitality and activate their own healing power.
And it's interesting, I think many of our listeners can think about Qigong, and maybe they don't know it's Qigong, but we all seen in the parks like older people making this slow, beautiful movements, right? Usually Chinese older people. But it seems to me that something like this can be and should be taught to children, right? Younger generation.
Exactly. That's what I kept coming back to. Why is it just for older people in the park? And as I dove into it, younger people are very interested in energy work, how to feel their energy, how to cultivate this internal power.
Yeah.
And younger people are also very stressed out. And right now, teenagers are more anxious, more depressed than ever before because they're not tuned into themselves. They are constantly being pushed and pulled energetically by social media. So this is the time for younger people to really be able to tune into their essence, to their core, to their energy systems, because energy is who we are. And people think energy work is somehow mystical or something for somebody else, but everybody wants energy. The way we tend to go about getting energy is through the outside in approach. Once I get that new device, once I have that new job, once I have enough money in the bank, I'm going to feel a certain way. And that never happens because feelings are energy. They are, what do I mean by energy? I mean that they're not tangible. We can't do open heart surgery and see how much love you have in your heart. We can't open up your chest and see your spirit. These are all frequencies that have information, meaning that each emotion has a specific quality of energy to it that we feel. That's why we call them feelings. And we want to feel a certain way. And I think people don't know how to shift or move feelings so that they feel their best, so that they're inspired, so they feel excited or passionate or at peace within themselves, because they don't have a map that helps them describe the territory of where they want to go. So they're constantly looking outside themselves to create feelings. And even if they're successful at getting that new car, that new house, that new job, that new relationship, it comes with a lot of other qualities too. You know, people always say, "Oh gosh, I just really want that perfect partner for myself." And then they meet their soulmate, and then sure, there's lots of love, but there's also other things that they have to work with, lots of other energies. So the word gong, as in qigong, means skill. So basically, it could also be translated as life skill. How do we work with the energy of your mind and your thoughts? How do we work with the energy of your emotions? How do we work with the energy of your body? And understanding that they all go hand in hand, because the quality of your thoughts affect your body. For example, if people are under a lot of mental stress, what has been shown is that their immune system goes down. It's compromised. And if somebody has fallen in love, their immune system, all these immune markers go up. So positive emotions, clear mind, all of these things are really beneficial to our physical health. And when we're healthier and we have more energy in our bodies, our emotions are more balanced, our thoughts are clearer. So they all go hand in hand because energy is always flowing from one to the other.
I really love this idea of bringing all of this to younger generation.
I love it too. I
Yeah.
have
Do you
I have
teach your
something.
daughters
I do
some
teach my
techniques?
daughters. Yeah, I have, as we were talking about, I have 3 teenage daughters and a toddler, so 4 girls. And sometimes we're all in the living room or on the deck, and it doesn't have to be a long time. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes. We go out there, we do some breathing, we do some movements, we stretch a little bit, we talk. And, kids, their attention span, especially teenagers, isn't a long time necessarily. And but I love this idea of just planting seeds, getting them interested, and I want to create a program called Qi Kids.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would
Wouldn't
be
that be amazing?
wonderful.
So it's on my list of things to do.
Okay, now you said this.
That's it. I said it.
Yes, yes, yes. For people who just heard about Qigong for very first time and they're all excited, yeah, that sounds amazing. How do I even start?
Right? I would say come to my website, which is holdenqigong.com, because I have so many beginners courses and I have so many condition specific practices. And I love helping people heal their bodies. And so there's all kinds of programs on different topics like Qigong for upper back and neck tension,
Mm.
Qigong for high blood pressure, Qigong for digestive issues. So I have condition specific. I also have a video class subscription where you just show up and take classes from me. So
Mm.
we can do it in a variety of different ways. And I also have online teacher training courses. So if people want to learn how to teach, we have practices for that as well.
Interesting. Do you teach live classes?
I do live on Zoom. So people
Oh,
turn on
live.
Zoom, live. I do workshops like
You do
events.
workshop.
Yeah. So we'll have
Somewhere
live
in nature.
in nature. Yeah, we often will do it here in Santa Cruz, California, in the Redwood forest or at the
Mm.
beach. And you're doing your breathing exercises and your flows in the morning at the beach, and there's dolphins swimming out on the
Oh, it
horizon.
sounds amazing.
It's pretty magical.
I can imagine. And yes, people like to attend this type of retreats. So they shift their energy from their busy lives, unhealthy habits, and they think they're going to go there and come back all new, with renewed energies. But it seems to me that it's something that needs to be done on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, it does, and it works so well if you do it on a daily basis. Um, it's a little bit addicting. I just have to warn you, folks, because when you start your practice, all of a sudden you feel so good, you want to keep doing it.
Oh, wow.
The good thing is it works really well. And I would say the bad thing is that you have to do it. It's not as simple as taking a pill. You do your 20 minutes in the morning and all of a sudden your energy boosts, or you do your 20 minutes in the evening and you clear all the stress of the day. It's designed like that. It doesn't need to take a whole long time, but if you put in 10, 20 minutes, the investment into your energy system is way more valuable than investing in the stock market. Because you are
That's great.
investing in your life force energy. This is your life, not in some future space, not in your retirement. All of that is absolutely fine, but also invest in yourself. The reason people are so unhappy or unhealthy is that they spend more time focused on their finances than they do their own energy. They focus more on entertainment or social media or TV than their own consciousness. And if we're not investing in ourselves, we don't know ourselves. We don't know the power and potential that we have within us. And if we don't know that, then we get very confused on what we're supposed to do in this life.
So the way to think about it, it's like moving meditation, right? I think nowadays people understand meditation and some people do it all the time. Some people tried, it didn't work out for them. So this is a little bit different, or what's the best way to think about it?
Okay, so, well, I think it is a moving meditation, yes, but it is also exercise. Absolutely. You can get in shape doing this. It's also
Mm.
stretching. So think of it like a little bit like yoga, easy yoga, mindfulness meditation, and Tai Chi all combined into one. So you
Mm.
get a very synergistic practice because the way I like to teach is you activate energy. So you give yourself an energy boost. You warm up the body, and especially you articulate the joints in the body. In Qigong, they call it oiling the joints
Mm.
because where Qi gets stagnant is in the joints. That's why as we get older, our joints get stiffer. So we oil the joints and make sure the joints are smooth and feeling good. Then we stretch the muscles. We call it stretching lines of tension.
Yeah.
And I imagine people listening have lines of tension right across the top of their shoulders into their neck.
Yeah, I was
So
just talking to my dad yesterday. He was complaining about his joints. I should recommend him.
yeah, we have Qigong for healthy joints.
Yes.
And then what we do is we go into these slow flowing movements where it's very relaxing, very meditative. But the reason you move slowly is because it's difficult to calm down the mind. If you just sit and tell your mind to be quiet, it's often very challenging. But if you do it through the body, if you move slowly, your mind will slow down. All we have to do is actually take a slow, deep breath. And so in the book that I just wrote, Ready, Set, Slow, there's a whole section on body. So body, mind, relationships, showing how slowing down improves your life dramatically, and it even it improves productivity. So you slow down, you get more done more efficiently.
You think by slowing down, you're slowing down, but you actually have more accomplished at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like go slow to go fast, but you're not really going fast. You're being efficient. Um, and
And your
so, for
mind is
example,
in peace, right? I have been thinking about slowing down for years, and I do it consciously, and I feel better. I feel better, and I feel more peaceful.
yes. I mean, when you slow down, I think that's what people are looking for. More moments to be in the moment. Think about watching a sunset where you're just like, oh, okay, I feel connected. The beauty of nature is making me feel at peace. We don't have to wait for the sunset to have a moment during the day. We can create those moments each and every day, and they don't have to take a long time. For example, if everybody took a slow breath, your mind slows down. So try this, folks. Just
Mhm.
inhale for 5 seconds
Through
through your
your
nose.
nose, right?
Through your nose, exactly. So you inhale slowly and then exhale slowly, 5 seconds out. And you do that 2 or 3 times, and it is an absolute reset in your nervous system so that you don't feel frantic inside yourself. You feel more present. And then you move forward with that clarity of mind and that renewed energy. So 20, 30 seconds of slow breathing is a refresh and a reset. And you can do that anytime.
Well, thank you for this. I think it's a great tool that our listeners can use any day, anytime. And we
Yeah.
started talking about your book. And as I mentioned, I listened to your book, and I can say that it actually changed my life in some ways.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful.
and I can explain why. So this every book you read, you take something from it, right? And there's so much in your book. Everyone who reads will find something for themselves, and you can reread it or listen it again, and you will hear something else that is relevant to you at the moment. So then listened. I didn't read it. I listened to your book. Uh, One exercise that I'm doing right now every single day is about how to be present. And we all
Mhm.
want it, but you actually give actionable tools to how to achieve it. So I started thinking about it a lot lately. If you take a person, 50-year-old person, and we spend a third part of our life sleeping.
Uh-huh.
It's for 50-year-old person, it's 16 years of sleeping. So we
Oh,
have now 34 years of life, right? Then you're awake.
right.
Then I found this study, some Harvard study from 2010, I believe, where they were trying to research how much time we actually present in our lives, because most of the time we dream about something or we're thinking about the past, we're in our heads, and it's so
Right.
hard to get out. And the results were it's around 47% of our life we're in our heads, which is unbelievable. So then we take 50-year-old person minus time when we sleep, it's like 34 years. Then basically half of it is time that we're not even present.
Uh,
It's 16, 17 years of awake, present life for a 50-year-old person. This
mm,
is kind of scary, right?
yeah,
Thinking
totally. Absolutely. It is scary because we're missing all the preciousness of life. And
moment, the
she really means
moment.
Yeah, moment. Chi really means like your precious life force energy. How are you spending your energy as you go through life? What do we get by spending energy? We get experiences. What are the experiences that you're having day in and day out? Often it's the experience of survival, which we're going to call stress. So we're sitting in traffic. Your nervous system perceives that as your life is being threatened because we're getting stressed out because we're late to work. It's not quality time or quality energetic investment. And so we spend time to have experiences. What are the experiences that we're having? Like you said, either we're stressed out or we're daydreaming. We're not present. We're somewhere in the future, somewhere in the past. So the
Mind
actual,
wandering experiment study, mind wandering, they call it.
yeah, yes, mind wandering is a daydream. So we go to sleep at night, you dream, you wake up, and most of the day you're dreaming. How many moments are you having? So how do we have more moments? Slow down is one of the
Good,
best
good
keys.
question. And the answer I found in your book.
Wonderful.
First of all, through connections, the moment we create, right? And we connect. Right now, I'm present with you. I'm not wandering anywhere. I'm not asleep and I'm not wandering. So I'm present right now.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing my life at the moment. And consciously focusing on being present. And you have this exercise that I do on a daily basis now. And this is how you changed my life of your book.
Oh, how
Where
wonderful.
am I? So this is maybe you can share that technique with our listeners. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely. Wow. And I love this technique because it was taught to me by I was traveling in China. I was in Chengdu, China, way up north. It's the closest city near Tibet. And this Tibetan master, we were interviewing him for a movie, a documentary that I was producing. The documentary is called Superhuman Experience. And this master was incredible, like a true enlightened being. And as I was asking him questions, he would often not necessarily answer my question, but he would often take us through something or take us down a different path. And he finally looked at me and he said, "Hey, where are you?" It was through translator. He said something in Tibetan, and the translator said, "He wants to know where you are." And I was like, God, that's an interesting question. Well, I'm here. I'm in the room. And he said, answer the question like you don't know, like you're waking up from a nap and you're like, wait a second, where am I? And you really get curious about where you are because he said, you only think you know where you are. You actually don't know where you are. And I was thinking about we're just on this big circular sphere moving through space around the sun. Where are we? Like, and be really curious about that. So the exercise, the meditation is you ask yourself this question, where am I? And it's a stop into the daydreaming mind. So it can be very practical, especially when you have a lot of negative thoughts and worries in your head. You say, wait a second, mind, where am I? And you just, as soon as you ask a question to your mind, the mind wants to answer. Well, it's like, well, I'm here. So that's the exercise. You say, where am I in your own mind? And then you answer the question, I'm here. The next question is, where is here? How do you know you're here? Well, I can feel the chair at my back, and the chair is right here, right now. So most of our problems are often a daydream in our mind. We're thinking about the future. What if, the mind says, what if the stock market crashes? What if I lose my job? What if things change? What if this person doesn't love me anymore? What if this? What if that? And the technique brings you back to the moment because those things haven't happened yet. And they maybe and most likely never will happen. At least never will happen in the way you think they will happen. So you come back to the moment. It's a very sobering way to get control of our minds. We come back to the moment. I'm here.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
was
a
teaching my
great technique.
son this morning. I was driving him to school and I was teaching him this, and we were doing this exercise. I hope it stays with him because I think it's
Mm.
amazing for us to be aware of it. and continuously, intentionally try to be present in the moment.
Yep, right. And I think it is so true that we need these tools because society tells us otherwise. Society is saying, hey, you need to be in a hurry, you need to be rushing around, you need to be stressed out. Most people are wearing this badge of being busy, like it's a reward. Like I'm so busy.
Yeah,
Busy is
like you're important, right?
authentic.
You're an important person.
Yes.
Busy? Yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote a chapter in the book, Bliss over Busy. Bliss, how do we get blissful? Well, we need more moments. We need to open our hearts. We need to connect to other people. If we're so in a hurry and ahead of ourselves, we don't drop into blissful moments throughout the day. It doesn't mean we're always blissed out, but we can be present with whatever we're feeling. And then often there's a transformation. And just like the breathing exercise, just like the where am I meditation, they don't have to take a long time. Where am I meditation can be a formal meditation. And we sit down, we ask ourselves these questions. In the book, it's more of a formal meditation, but it can be done, like you said, informally, like driving a car. You know, when we're in traffic and we're thinking about we're going to be late, and then we think about these consequences, the thing to remember is that you just because you're stressed out doesn't make you get there quicker. That's the false thinking that we think
Maybe even opposite. Yeah.
if I bang on the steering wheel and yell at the car in front of me, somehow I'm going to get there quicker. And it creates very neurotic energy in us. And we really struggle against our powerlessness because we don't have power to move the traffic. Nobody looks at the car behind them and say, wow, she's really upset. Let me move out of her way. No. So if we can relax into a circumstance, respond to life with relaxation, by the time you get there, you're relaxed, you're more resourced, you're not all frantic and stressed out.
Lost it right from that stress.
Yeah, you show up as a better version of yourself, and things go better from that point on.
Oh, wonderful. And I'm thinking, let's talk a little bit about the power of slowness.
Yes.
And of course, I recommend everyone to read your book, but if there's anything you can share and maybe some technique or what can we do in our everyday life to use
Yeah.
this
And
power?
slowing down can be helpful in many ways. So when we look at, we already did a slow breath. Now, people want to know, what does slow breathing give me? It gives you a lot. And when we look at the research, and there's a lot of research out there, slowing down your breathing really helps almost every function in your body. We become more oxygen efficient. We get more energy by breathing slower. Over breathing, meaning breathing fast, is a lot like overeating. It's not good.
Mm.
That's why people in higher altitudes, they often live longer because they're breathing. There's not as much oxygen available. And you might think, well, oxygen's good. Yes, it is. But if we overbreathe, your body stores the oxygen and doesn't make it available to your cellular tissue. Just like when we overeat, your body's going to store the excess calories as fat in case you need it later. When you slow your breathing down, your carbon dioxide rises and the body says release the oxygen in the blood. Almost everybody has enough oxygen in their blood. Their oxygen saturation levels are usually 95 and above. So when you slow down, all of a sudden the oxygen becomes available.
I'm right away. Breathe.
And then we have more energy. And also, when you slow down your breathing, your nervous system and your body interprets that as we're not in stress. And stress is the root cause of most illnesses. So you can really do so much by slowing down just your breath. And then for example, in Qigong, you're going to slow down your breathing and you're going to then add movement to it. So slow movement, slow breathing creates slowing down of the mind, more present moment awareness. Now, we can also look at things like eating. If you eat slower, you're going to turn your food into energy. If you eat quickly, because digestion starts in your mouth, now your body has to use a lot more energy to break down the food that just hit your belly. And it takes a lot more energy. That's why people get tired after eating.
Mm.
So eating slowly, not only do you taste your food, you actually enjoy it more, you metabolize it and turn it into energy.
Yeah, I like that. And my parents were teaching me this in early childhood that you have to, again, being present, understand I'm eating now, right? I'm tasting the food. It's another way of being present.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, you can be present with your food. So often I tell people it doesn't need to take a long time to have a slow moment. On the first bite or some bite of food at every meal, chew slowly, like 30 times, and you'll set a
That's
marker.
hard, actually.
It is hard, but you do it one time, and then the rest of the meal you don't think about it, but you will eat slower, and you'll chew more, and you'll digest better. It's almost like you said, it's hard, but we have to choose our hard. What's hard is to have low energy. What's hard is to be stressed out all the time. What's really hard is to not have all your resources available. What's hard is to be anxious or depressed. So these little things, yes, they're hard, but choose that hard over the other hard. What's
I
hard is to
agree.
be unhealthy. So choose your difficult, choose your hard, meaning do these little things, these little what we call hard, because it's hard to eat slowly. It's hard to slow down and take a deep
People are
breath.
on the run, right? They're eating on the run, or while they're eating, they're thinking, they're solving some problems in their mind. It just, okay, this is my meal time. Treat it with respect, right? Focus on it, enjoy your food. I think this is a very good
Yeah.
practical advice that
Yeah.
anyone can start using any day, any moment.
Right away. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to take a long time. Like we said, the first bite of the meal. And that's why we say like a grace, we say a prayer, we say something to let's have a moment together. And it could just be as simple as I'm just going to eat a little slower and just be grateful for the food I have and the people that are around me. There's so many blessings in modern life, and we are living like kings and queens. In fact, standard, ordinary, everyday life people are living way better than royalty, 200 years ago. And we don't slow down enough to appreciate it. So that when we slow down, our gratitude goes up. If we're grateful, our happiness factor goes up. And we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing the things that we're doing? Inside ourselves, we want to be happy. We think that I'm doing this thing because I'm going to feel happy because of it. And it's a false notion that if we rush through life and are all stressed out, it will somehow get me to this
Better
destination of
place.
happiness.
Mhm.
Yeah. Slow down and you'll feel happy in many more moments throughout your day.
That's wonderful. I'm looking at the writing behind you. What is this?
Oh, the writing behind me. This is a great question. These are the top one, the top Chinese character is Shen, which means spirit or consciousness. The middle one, actually, this is the symbol of Qi, life force
Mm.
energy, especially in your hearts. So it can mean like good heart energy. And the last symbol is Jing, which means essence, which signifies your body. So these are called the three treasures of life, your body, your emotions, and your mind.
Mm.
And I love it because the three treasures, they say it all. They're treasures. We
Yeah.
feel when we're stressed out that these are the three burdens. I got this body that has tension, tightness, and pain. I got all these negative emotions, and I got a mind with internal dialogue that's always telling me negative things. That is like mistaking the mud for the gold when we're digging for the treasures. We have to dig through the mud to find the treasures, but they're there. And that's what your practice is all about, to find those treasures within yourself.
That's true. No, I wanted to ask you about your childhood.
Oh, okay.
Did you grow up here in the Bay Area?
I did.
You
I
went to
grew up
college in Berkeley.
in Los Gatos, California. Las Gatos.
Los Gatos, California.
Yeah. So that's, kind of Silicon Valley area, but although back then it was more like orchards and a lot more nature. It's a little bit more upscale these days. And Santa Cruz, where I'm at now, near the coast, is about 30 minutes away. And so I grew up in Los Gatos. My dad was a judge. My mom was an aerobics instructor. She taught
Oh,
fitness.
how interesting.
Interesting. And I don't know if you know this, Christina, but if you put aerobics instructor and a judge together, you get a Qigong teacher.
I love that.
So
That's very interesting.
it is interesting. Who knew?
Because I always think that whatever we do in life is somehow connected to your childhood. That's why I asked this question.
Well, you're not wrong because my parents were into meditation. Back then we called it like creative visualization. They were teaching us kids how to visualize and use our minds to, do better in school or to do better in our sports. And we were meditating. And for me, interestingly enough, when I was doing these visualizations, I started to feel energy in my body. I would relax, I would breathe deep, I would visualize myself doing various things, and I would feel this electricity in my body, and it felt really good. I was like, wow, what is this power? And it wasn't for years later that I really understood what was happening, which was my energy was becoming activated and moving through what in Chinese medicine is known as meridians, these pathways where the acupressure points are located. So that gave me my first experience of what energy was back then. And it's kind of like planted the seed of me doing
Yes,
work
yes.
later.
And you're planting the seed with your children now,
Right.
creating
Yeah.
better future for them,
Yeah.
the future physically and mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's a tricky balance to want the best for our kids, but not to force it on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can really, in a way, when we push too hard with our children, sometimes they then push back or, don't want to do what you're suggesting.
Yeah, I believe that children learn by looking at us.
Yeah.
This is the lifestyle you have, and they're observing you. It's just a part of their life, natural part of their life, and that's how they learn. You can tell them, do this, do that, but if you don't do it, it's a not a very good lesson, right? Just they learn by example. So definitely you don't have to push, just live your life and they will observe you and learn from you
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
habits.
Yeah, I know it's true. Our actions, speak volumes to our kids. And that,
Absolutely.
that's why these techniques are so good for ourselves because for example, in parenting, when we're stressed out and then our kids are being kids, maybe being loud, maybe being rambunctious, maybe knock something over. If we're stressed out, we'll snap at them. We'll like, what are you doing? Like we get angry and frustrated. And so in the book, also, I talk about relationships, slow down in our relationships, especially in our communication. So when you're feeling stressed and frustrated, let's say, and your kids or your partner does something irritating, that's when you want to slow down and give yourself a timeout. Don't react immediately. Just like check yourself, deep breath, step out of the room for a minute, come back, have a conversation on the level without all that agitation. It'll go way better. As soon as you're agitated and you react,
You
what
will
will
regret.
happen?
Yeah.
You'll hurt somebody's feelings. They'll then get mad at you. They'll pout. They'll do things. It's going to take way longer to get through that emotional upheaval than if you just slowed down, centered yourself, and then had a conversation from that centered space. You'll get through it much quicker because you've slowed down.
Wonderful. Of course, I can see that you're so passionate about Qigong, but do you have any other hobbies?
I love hiking, being out in the woods. I love mountain biking.
Mm.
There's incredible mountain biking here, and guess what? Mountain biking, you're going fast down trails, and it's steep and it's dangerous. So if
Dangerous, yeah.
inside myself, I have to
You
have a
slow
calm,
down.
slow mind, and we call that in athletics being in the flow or being in the zone. And athletes describe being in the zone as even though they're going fast, like mountain biking or surfing or playing basketball or whatever, it feels like inside yourself you're in slow motion, like everything you're connected to everything around you. So I love that.
And
I
you
love
can
that
teach
idea.
it too, right? How to get into this flow.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I do Tai Chi and Qigong, of course, because that's my profession. I love traveling. I love all kinds of activities in nature, whether it's scuba diving or mountain biking or hiking or whatnot.
Wonderful. And there's one last question that I ask all my guests. What does kindness mean to you?
Hmm. That is a really great kind a word because kindness is when we're again, if we're out of stress, we're out of survival. When we're in stress mode, we're thinking selfishly. I need to survive. I need to protect myself and my family. When you get out of stress, your heart opens and then we feel more connected and kindness comes very naturally because we're tuned in to the abundance of life and all that life has to offer, and that we realize that by being kind to somebody else or to the planet, we're actually still being kind to ourselves because we're all connected.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So great to be here with you all.